Stephen Kinnock held Avon comfortably for Labour, but there was a 14-point swing against the party there.
I think there are three clear reasons for why we were utterly routed by this disastrous Tory government that's been nothing but incompetence and failure for the last 9 years. Firstly, weak and incompetent leadership. Jeremy Corbyn should resign properly, immediately, and we should have a new leader in place by Easter. Secondly, because we disastrously became the puppet of the People's Vote campaign, and that destroyed our credibility in our Leave voting areas. And thirdly, because our manifesto became really more of a Christmas wish list than a serious programme for government.
And now we're going to have a big debate, as has happened so often in the past, between what should happen next. What should happen next?
So I think before we get into a leadership contest, we need to have broad consensus across our movement as to why we lost and what we need to do. And the message is very clear. We have to reconnect with our Leave voting areas. And I hope that if we can get broad consensus, that will also inform the choice of who the right leader is for the party.
What does connecting with those voters mean? Because presumably we will, at the end of January, be leaving the European Union, so that will be done and dusted to a certain extent. Obviously, there's a long way to go.
So I think it's about security. First of all, economic security. So we've got to put forward an economic programme, which, yes, is radical, and yes, which looks to change the country and fix the broken economic model and try to repair the damage that 9 years of Tory austerity have done, but which also inspires confidence. And then it's about national security. Labour is the party of NATO. We took the United Kingdom into NATO. We have to make it absolutely clear who our allies are in the world, who our enemies are, and which mast we pin our colours to. And then thirdly, I think it's vital that we have a proper debate about immigration and make it clear that we want an immigration policy that inspires trust and confidence. Again, it's about security. And that means having a properly managed system. And we need to make it clear that the Labour Party understands what our communities are facing, making sure that we have cohesive and properly integrated communities. The sort of sect that has taken over the party in the last few years, they are just totally and utterly disconnected from those realities.
Doesn't that mean a really dramatic move to the right for the Labour Party?
Well, I don't really like these right-left discussions. And what I'm saying on the economy particularly is a radical Keynesian economic programme. You know, not a million miles from where we were with our 2017 manifesto, which I think really resonated with people. What happened between 2017 and 2019 with our economic policy, I think only John McDonnell can answer that question for you. But we basically went off to the land of the fairies.
Doesn't this struggle feel wearingly familiar, not only to you who have an intimate family connection with it, but anybody who lived through the past period of Labour's history?
Mark, I'm heartbroken by what's happened. And, you know, we're looking down the barrel now of another 5 years of the Tories. I think about my constituents, people who desperately need a Labour Party, people who have had the rug pulled out from under them by a government that has failed to stand up and just doesn't care about those communities. And we can't get too sucked into internal navel gazing here. We've got to keep our eyes on what's happening outside the bubble in the country. We must never repeat the feeling that we had in the early hours of the morning of Friday, the 13th of December, 2019.
What qualities do you need in a new leader?
I think we need a candidate and a leader who is going to change radically the direction of the party. I think Lisa Nandy's name is being heard quite a lot. And when you look at what Lisa's position has been on the second referendum and the way in which she talks very convincingly about Labour needing to be rooted in the communities that voted against us in this election. And I think she understands that there are millions of voters in the so-called red wall seats who lent their vote to the Tories this time. We can win that vote back, but only if we are absolutely honest with ourselves and look in the mirror. Stop blaming the media, stop blaming the weather, stop blaming the PLP.
Stephen Kinnock.